was set. It's a national asset built for you. Take the show on the road. Download 7277. Free TV, digital TV for free. Brought to you by NBC.
To Signature Morning, this beautiful, cool, but rainy morning in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. My name is Mwabos Njoko, and this is Signature Morning. Let us start this way. It is the season of politics. For now, it is intra-party politics. The political parties are choosing their candidates for elections at the different levels of governance in our country. But it is also what I may call the season of reckoning. Because a number of the candidates will begin to make promises. A number of the candidates will begin to tell you what they have done. They will have a saying that if you know you can cure the devil's arrow, let me tell you what the Igbos call the devil's arrow, whitlow. If you can cure it, if you can heal it, let's see your fingers and see whether your own fingers are straight. You cannot have crooked fingers caused by whitlow and you say, oh, I am an expert in curing or healing people with whitlow. That's not true. So it is also the season of reckoning for those of them who are already in government and who want to continue rendering service. What manner of service have they rendered to warrant asking the electorate to give them another mandate? In the course of this program, you get to know why we want to interrogate this issue. For now, let me introduce my guest. My guest this morning is Prince Elias Odemena. Prince Odemena is the publisher of Head News magazine, and he is very interested in public affairs, especially in the outcome of governance in our country. Outcome measured by the level of development, different levels of our federation experienced in different administrations. Prince, can I welcome you to the program?
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome.
And thank you for having me.
Great. Prince, I said this could be the season of reckoning. Can I ask how you feel, what expectations you have as the political parties begin to make their choices? Because all these will lead to actual elections and the enthronement of governments at different levels. What should the political parties be doing now in selecting their candidates?
Yeah, the political parties selecting the candidates is one thing, and letting the candidates to know the manifesto of the party, manifestos of the party is another thing. Some of them are jumping from one political party to the other without knowing the manifestos of that political party you are joining. And then at the end of this, things will not augur well to the political party, to the candidates themselves, and to the nation in general. How can you enter a bus that you don't know the destination of that bus? For instance, it cannot see a luxurious bus going to Owerri or Abia or Kaduna. You jump into it when you are going to Lagos. So you must know the manifestos of the political party you are joining.
Yeah, but Prince, that also brings me to something. You just raised a different issue totally. Do we really know the manifestos? Are the political parties hinting, because it's not time for campaign yet, so they may say it's not time for us to unwrap what we have and bring this content out of the envelope? What kind of manifestos should the Nigerian electorate be expecting for the political parties, and therefore being able to align the candidates to the manifestos of those parties? What kind of expectations should Nigeria be having?
You know, manifestos is a strategy. It's what you are going to use in selling yourself to the public.
But it's a promise as well.
Yeah, yes, of course. But from how many years now? In the past, from up, more than 2 decades now, many people will contest election on the political party, and they will not know the manifestos of that political party. And this is one of the problems we are having in Nigeria as a nation. You can ask anybody. Also, they're supposed to be telling people, this our manifesto, this one. That's what they're supposed to tell people first. If I'm national party of a chairman, and you are coming to my party, I said, this is this is our manifestos. This is what we believe. This is
what we stand for.
What's what it stand for? Then during the campaign, then it start to
break those things down,
telling it to the people. But then we have hazardly tell people during the campaign, this is our manifesto, without
the candidates being knowing or being convinced that they can deliver on those
manifestos.
Okay, Prince, that is our expectations from the political parties. But this conversation this morning is being rooted in the subnationals. And I'll tell you why I want to root this conversation in the subnationals. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has on more than 10 occasions said that his government is generating more revenue than any other government in recent history. And that his statement has been supported by virtually every other state governor in this country by admitting that they are getting much more money than they have ever gotten before. Every time you and I and some of our other colleagues sit down to do analysis of the outcome of governance and all that, we seem to focus our attention on the federal government. Whereas if you look at the quantum of money going to now to the states, the state governments ought also be held to account. Now, a number of the state governments will be having their final, this is their last tenure. This is after May of next year, they are gone and gone for good. But some of them want to continue. Is it not time we began asking questions? If you want to continue, tell us what we accomplished. Since you are getting much more money, show us, as you will say, show us your hand. Is it not time?
Yeah. Let me just digress a little bit.
Yes.
I met one American during the Buhari regime. He told me that in the United States, some people do not know the name of their president. All they know is that they vote for party and their county chairman and their governor. They know. They don't know any other person. But first of all, let me use the medium to thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for giving governors more money for those who are working with the money, and less job for those governors who believe in frivolities. You see, it is painful at times.
Yes, please.
Let me start from Cross River, Governor Utu. There's a program you call Kick Out Hunger and Bamboo something initiative. You brought Chinese people. And this Bamboo initiative of Governor Utu can give Nigerians more than 10 million jobs when they finish this thing. And the population of Joes looking for job in Cross River may not be up to 500,000. So I commend the Governor for that one. And the president should help him more, help Governor on that. He go to Adamawa.
Okay.
Adamawa State. Governor Fintiri, he built one model school in each of the local government. 5 flyovers, international shopping complex with a conference center. That one is still ongoing. A lot of projects going there. You go to what they call it, Oshu State. There was a time the president, no, not the president, the federal government is I don't know whether they have finished their court case with the governor.
Yes.
And
that's over local government revenue.
And the federal government blocked
allocation
going to Oshu local government. But it does not stop the governor, the dancing governor. It didn't stop him from working. Adeleke is working without that, that
allocation to local government.
And when he's having some problem, he called his elder brother, Davido dad. He also called Davido. They brought in money for him to start handling a local government fund. I am from Southeast. Let me say that I prefer to call myself an Igbo man, because instead of calling myself from Southeast, because if you want to know the real people from Southeast, it starts from Benue, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers. Some of our Igbos brothers, they're in Benue. We have 13 indigenous people of.
Let's leave that.
Okay, let's leave that out. So we know what is happening in all those things. Go to Abia State, for instance. Some people come and say, Tinubu is giving LSOT money. He's giving LSOT money. He's giving Abia State money. My question to them is Tinubu giving LSOT money from his pocket? Is it not the same allocation he's giving to the state governors? Is it not the same thing they are giving them? Is it not the same money that Wike is receiving in the center? Wike is performing very well in Abuja. Is it not from the same source, federal government, that said the LSOT is everything out of favor? My God, I'm not a fan of LSOT, but as an Igbo man, I'm proud of LSOT. How can a LSOT? He just celebrated under 2 years of his being a governor. He did what three governors could not do in 24 years. Under 2 years, that time. Now, under 3 years, now he just celebrated 3 years. His record showed that he commissioned 414 roads. When we are busy doing our style here, going to our Muslim eating and doing merriment, LSOT was commissioning project in Abia State. Okay, we can't. Abia State is about former state government, they are owing about $190-something billion. Google it, you will see it. LSOT reduced it to 42. He cleared $140-something billion from the Abia State debt. And what they call them, debt management.
Yes.
They recommended the LSOT.
Can you hold your peace there?
Yes, sir.
Because why I say you hold your peace, you have raised something that should be an integral part of this conversation. You know that the issue we're addressing now is holding the state governments to account. Now, we began that conversation by taking up statements made by the president himself that the federal government is generating more revenue. The federal government is giving more money to the states. And the state government themselves admitting that they're getting much more money than at any time in the history of this country. You are trying to give me examples of states that are performing. But permit me, I'm going to give you the list of the 10 most indebted states in Nigeria. And I ask you whether it is not a contradiction. Lagos state government is owing 2.65 trillion naira is debt. These statistics are from the Debt Management Office. Kaduna is owing 1.03 trillion. Rivers State government is owing 641.29 billion. Edo, 596.9 billion. Ogu, 491.28 billion. Cross River, 455.34 billion. Bauchi, 407.83 billion. Enugu, 355.35 billion. Delta, 291.95 billion. And Imo, 262.64 billion. These are the 10 most indebted states in Nigeria. Now, I cannot measure development statistically like this. If the level of indebtedness is to be measured against the amount of money you have borrowed, Lagos State should be the most developed, followed by Kaduna, followed by Rivers, followed by Edo, Ogu, Cross River, in that order till get to Imo. These 10 most indebted states in the country are supposed to be the most developed because they have borrowed so much money in addition to all the monies given to them by the state government. Now it is time of reckoning. Elections are coming. Should we be asking questions? This is your level of indebtedness. Can you weigh it against your level of development? Prince, I decided to go through these statistics to enable you now begin to raise questions or answer questions as to what the state governors should be telling us now, why they performed or did not perform, why they will ask for re-election or not.
So thank you also for this information that you brought in now. Indebted state. Let's use the Abia State as our as our example of a state developing without no.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. Because you are citing Abia State as developing, but Abia State is not one of these indebted states. So where is the money of this?
Yes. So, excuse me. Everything depends on the behavior of your governor. Everything depends on the behavior of governor. Governors and the local government, Tinubu will not be there forever. Because I thank Tinubu for creating a local government autonomy and making sure that he's pumping money to the state and local government. Tinubu even went to Supreme Court. He don't do it with executive order. He went to Supreme Court and he got judgment for
local government autonomy.
But today, our local government
are they autonomous?
Are they autonomous? Are they seeing the money? Because we are going to ask them question, though, not today. Tomorrow.
The time of
reckoning is coming. Time of reckoning is coming. So what I'm using electricity as an example. Where is he getting the money? It's not from the same federal government allocation. Do you know this route? As I said, let me not say, development twice, as I said, was dead before electricity came in. Development twice. Because electricity came, he brought, he assumed, like a and the Sambakwe, the development site. Assume it and start working. Go to a new local government. So a man, electricity, even if he doesn't do anything, he did, 200 primary health care centers. It's kind of I said. The old one, he modernized them. He built new ones with a modern lab, reducing the traffic to the general hospital and the other hospital and private hospital. Because if you're having a minor headache in my village,
you don't need to go.
I don't need to go to what they call it.
Any reference hospital.
Yeah, but he made that's easy, and the people at Fabia, they're happy with that. Apart from that, he's building like last time during the time of his third time.
Third year anniversary.
He laid a foundation sort of a hospital in Bend. He's building one in ENUGU. It's building many, and at the same time, if you go to Arochukwu General Hospital, half of the hospital, we occupied half of the hospital. Who's modernizing all those things? Where is he getting the money? Go to Aba. Aba was the dirty capital of Nigeria. So what he did in Aba, investors are coming to Aba. Now they're manufacturing tire in Aba. Many companies, a man spent $100 billion to raise the food processing industry in Aba. Bring it to people in Aba. People now, and let's notice, as I'm talking to you now, their airport, because the former governor, let me not, he said that he collected 10 billion naira for airport. But people who are making jest of him say that he built it for witches and wizards. That's why Elizabeth cannot see the airport. But Elizabeth is building airport now. Now, their feasibility study going on how it's going to be Obaku port. Where is Elizabeth getting the money? That's my question. It's not from 10 governors. A governor can come now. And do you know one good thing about ENUGU? Apart from giving them that SS fund, they are giving all these things. When governors did federal government told in their state, federal government refund them. So you can see some governors, they have been flying private jet, their wife is flying private jet. If they have want to do her, they have to use private jet, go to Abuja and do private jet and go to their state. Some of the governors in Nigeria, they live in private jet more than sitting in the office. And they're asking me what are they doing with the money. They're using the money for politics. Maybe when they share the money to some people, they'll be shouting. No? How can a governor, a state in Nigeria receive averagely, some of them, about 50 billion every 8 years.
Much more than that.
No, that's average. But a governor cannot cite a project of a project of 50,000 naira in the local government. It can't build even what they call it? Culvert or public toilet. What do you do with the state government money? They are asking for all this question, no? Unless what is opening our eyes. Until it's opening our eyes, people like Governor Otu, they're opening our eyes. Adeleke, I tell you what's happening in Adeleke, you know. How can a governor? Because a governor is tying a road that costs 3-4 local governments. Federal government told that he will collect the money and he will sing hallelujah that I think there's a project that passed through your state. No. Local government money is for local government, not for state governors, not for their wives. How can excuse me, at times, I like using Elizabeth as a yasi. Elizabeth don't spend, he's staying in Niger State. It doesn't move out. It hasn't moved out. If you come to Abuja, the next day you go back. The same thing as some governors. How can a governor be living in Abuja and you are governing your state? When they are stealing, you will not know. When at times they will bring a paper for you to sign, and they will go put you be licensed in Abuja, and you call yourself a governor.
Now, Prince, you know that this conversation is also supposed to help the electorate make decision. This conversation is supposed to help us begin to create pegs for the governors, for the electorate. Because very soon there will be billboards everywhere. Some governors want to come back. Very soon there will be billboards everywhere. Some governors who have completed their tenure would want to go to the Senate. And it is a candidate becomes attractive to the electorate when the electorate is satisfied with his president. When he was governor, how did he perform? What did he do? How accountable was he? And therefore, why can I trust him with the Senate responsibility, with the Senate seat? Now, the Nigerian voter who has not seen any improvement in the hospitals since Governor A began his governorship. the Nigerian voter who has not seen any improvements in schools and educational facilities since Governor A came to power. The voter who has not seen any improvements in the roads, the urban areas that do not even have water. I'm talking of things that are within the control of the state government. How should the electorate be reacting to their candidature if they begin to rear their heads and say, I want to go to the Senate or I want a second term? What should the electorate be saying to them now? Because we're saying the day of reckoning is coming.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, any sitting governor that doesn't perform have no business going for a second time. Any governor who did not perform have no business going to Senate. What are you going to Senate? As a governor, you have the money to develop the whole state. But you use the money in flying private jets. Now you want to come to state to come and do what in the Senate? To come and be hiding in the Senate? Nigeria, please, I'm begging you, if your governor did not perform, don't let him to come to the Senate. Now, as a governor, you not, it didn't see him. You can't hold him. You know when you come to Abuja, you come and hold him responsible for what? Hold him for a development. Good development you don't want him to do for you again. And again, where we are going to put eyes in Nigeria now is the governors that want to plant a person who will replace them.
We'll come to that. That is very critical. We'll come to that. This is signature morning, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. We'll take a short break and we'll return. Please don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. My guest is still in the studio, Prince Elias Odemena. Prince Elias Odemena is publisher of Head News magazine and is a public affairs analyst. He's taking a lot of interest in governance and the outcome of governance. Prince, you were talking to the electorate. A governor who did not perform cannot suddenly learn how to perform when he comes to the Senate. A governor who did not perform in the first 4 years cannot suddenly discover himself in the next 4 years that he wants to ask for. So the electorate, you are talking to them. Please continue.
Yeah, well, as I said before, if you are a governor and you are not doing anything, and you think that when you come to Abuja, you make your central district to be a Paris in Africa. No. Some of them are coming to Abuja to be residents, sleeping in the National Assembly. They don't have. What do they know? How do they know? Some of them are governors. They don't know their left and their right. They don't know their left and their right. Do you know? The problem we are having is that people always muzzle power. When you muzzle power, you make everybody in the state to be apprehensive. In some states, like if I'm from some allegedly, that was somebody told me, allegedly if you are from state, if you talk against what government is not doing, or he said government is not doing this, tomorrow the governor will tag you a member of IPOB. Tomorrow, the government will tag you as a member of ECL. The people who are so apprehensive in the Southeast, Igbo land, that where some some governors, they feel free and do whatever they like, because nobody will talk to them. But as I told you, the day of reckoning is coming. It cannot be governor for more than 8 years. Even if you are governor for 16 years, that 16 years will elapse one day.
Now, Prince, I have a challenge personally. And can I share my challenge with you?
Go ahead, sir.
These governors who did not perform, about whom you are speaking now, still find their ways to picking tickets for the political parties. And the political parties will tell you they have an influence because the political parties want to win election. So, with their influence, they become prized in their political parties because they are most likely to win election. Can we now please have a conversation on how these governors and how these non-performing politicians win the election? Let me cite one or two examples. Very soon you will start seeing printed cloth with their names and their pictures on them. And women whose own dresses have torn and have been patching and managing in the past 2 years or 3 years or 4 years of that governor's tenure will suddenly get 3, 4, 5 pieces of cloth to wear. And suddenly, people will start getting empowerment, envelopes of 10,000, 5,000. And suddenly, the electorate will start seeing these same people coming to the market square to shake hands with traders and all that, and then sitting down to join the akra fryer, or the person selling palm wine, or the person selling hura de nunu, sit down to buy and eat and drink with them. And the electorate tends to forget the non-performance of the past 4 or 5 years. So what do you say to the electorate? Because you see it play out.
Everything is crystal clear. In Nigeria, governors package poverty and they will give it to the electorate. When you package poverty and give to the electorate will have no any other option than to wait for you during the campaign. So you mentioned like clothes, some will give bag of rice, they will spend the state money, governor this bag of rice, for this rice, for this salt, and they will be sharing it to electorate. My brother, we have enough land in Nigeria. If you are a governor, that money they are going to use in buying more than 50 bags of rice to share to people. Why not use that money to cultivate rice, to have rice farm, agricultural farming, animal husbandry? You can use that money. See, electricity now. I also know electricity. People are doing campaigning, shouting their head. Electricity is busy commissioning projects. It's not campaigning, and it's not campaign. There was one day, as the president of, as the convener of Igbo Union, you made the press release. So if electricity score 80% of fragile vote, we ask him to step down. He won't be a governor of 5%. That means that the Igbos are so ungrateful. The least he can score is 85. We can accept it. We said it before. If he scored 80%, you're not going to be governor of 5%.
Okay, Prince, I'm going to take you on now frontally. You, because you mentioned something, you are the convener of
Igbo Union.
Igbo Union. Can I tell you also what these politicians will do and what they do? Because you are the convener, and because you hold these meetings all over the country and sometimes outside the country, speaking, trying to organize Igbo people where they are, they see you as a point of influence. And Prince, they want to reach the mass of people following you, and they come in division and say, Prince Elias, we need to, we need to, I just manage this 500 million. Because I'm telling you what happens. What should people like you therefore be doing? Because you become the vehicle for convincing those who have been impoverished to vote for the person who impoverished them.
Yeah, thank you for this point. Before Governor Soludo started demolition part of Onitsha market, I was in your sister station, Arise Television, and I told him that if you are breaking that market, you are not an emperor. You are a governor. Before you start to do what you want to do, please make sure that you have alternative place for the people of
those traders,
those other Ochanja market, or all those markets. Not Ochanja, I think it's Ochanja, that's the market. I told them, look for a place where the traders can stay before you start. Or one of these in no market. Do you know that after that interview, somebody from Onitsha come and said that they want to honor me in Onitsha? I told him, no. I did it free of charge. I did it as an Igbo man. It's just a news clip, news interview. The people of Arise Television, they invited me. They didn't charge me money. So why should I use money? Why should I be collecting money from the people of or the tenants from Onitsha? Oh, they want to give me something. They are happy with what I said, defending them. Well, because they shut the market because of Street at Home Monday, yes. Because of Nnamdi Kanu. That's why the people say they will not. And I talk it sensible, but not what we are going to them. They should listen Nnamdi Kanu so that something will start, so that all those things will stop. That's what I'm going now. But let's come back to what
yes, because the point I was trying to, the point I made was that people like you become the point for getting those who are impoverished by those in power to get your followers to then vote them back into power.
That's why we are saying that now any governor who refuses to perform, don't accept him, don't accept all his lineup, all his candidates. They'll have candidates. Some of them will have they want a person who will come and cover their shame. When you are there for 8 years, you didn't do anything. Then one governor from Southeast, he said in the office, a month to the time he's going to hand over, he was crying that, God, can you give me 2 months ago? It's like, even if they give you 6 months, you cannot perform. So people should stop all these cultural groups. Please, this is the time, you people, because after the free sharing rights, after that turn on, people start suffering again. Don't vote anybody that you know that is, doesn't have their goodwill in their mind. Let me tell you something. In Igbo Union, we want to honor this woman. They say, why can't we honor her husband? Akpabio. Because it's Akpabio. We want to honor his wife. Because Akpabio, as a governor, he started road from Akwa Ibom to Arochukwu. There's a bridge they call Nkana Bridge. I think about 500, meters. Akpabio did it. Showing the relationship between the old Southeasterners. Akpabio today, that's not what we are doing, but I have to digress more. Akpabio today, he's former chief of staff at an Igbo man. He's one serving as an Igbo man. He built church in his in ENUGU, roads in ENUGU. So Igbo Union said to honor his wife because of what he's doing to us. And this is a challenge to our daughters that married influential men. So always tell them, please, this is where I am from. We don't have roads in our place. We don't have this, we don't have that. So they can do it. Not that when a flesher man married you, you forget your source. Because there's an adage that said that any river that forgets its source will dry up. So politicians, I'm begging, what do they call it? I'm begging the electorate. I'm begging cultural groups.
Okay.
Please don't accept anything from politicians always tell them, do this and do this, that. How can a governor be say, you stay 8 years, you didn't do anything? When you want to go out, you plant your in-law, your son-in-law. You can't work in the southeast. You can't work in the southeast. There was allegedly a governor from southeast who wanted to plant a young man sleeping with his daughter to be a governor. But the people rejected the son-in-law.
Well, okay, no, wait. There's a difference, Prince. Let us be both courteous and civil with our language. It
is sleeping with your wife. In-law.
Okay, let us call the person his in-law.
Yes,
that's not somebody sleeping with his daughter. No.
Okay, I know to
Prince.
But let us sleep with your daughter.
Please.
Okay, I will do that. I will do that.
I'm an elder.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, I will do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we are discussing.
I know. You said now. Please let us be serious.
Yes. Let us. We have been focusing on the governors.
Yes, sir.
In assessing the failure or success of the subnationals and what the electorate should be doing with them. Now, can we begin to look at the local governments? You raised something here this morning, and that is you thanked the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for working to give financial autonomy to local governments. The expectation from ordinary Nigerians, therefore, is that the local governments should be given more development at the local level. But for goodness sake, that's not what is happening. Even though the president contradicted himself, and I must admit, I must say that publicly, because after obtaining that Supreme Court judgment that gave financial autonomy to the local governments, the president told the governors when they visited him in Ikoyi that he was not taking away their local government from them. That was contradiction. But let's assume that the judicial pronouncement is the bottom line, is the ultimate position. Why is it that the local government chairmen seem to be just lapdogs, sitting attached to the governors as masters? What should the electorate be telling them? Because some of them also want to return for second term, or some of them want to go for higher positions, political positions. Is it not time also to begin to say, let's begin to hold them to account?
Yeah. You know, that's where we went to last time. They said that to whom much is
given.
No, they said during our NUJ press week in Transcorp.
Yes.
They said to whom much is expected, much is
what should be
to whom much is expected,
much should be given.
Not the other way we say. So these governors, they are the problem of Nigeria. You are talking about holding
the local government chairman
accountable. How can you hold the local government accountable when they handpick all those local government? Some of them are touts. Some local government are touts. It's only in Nigeria state here you see a local government chairman who has a doctorate degree, who is a doctor, who is this, who is that. So local government they are touts. And governor brought them. This, at the end of the day, allegedly, I'm not there. You said that you received 500 million.
And you sign.
At the end of the day, when chiefs are down, that must be right for
Of course.
Local government chairman, and let me warn you, you are going to account for the money you are collecting. Go to Abia State. They have social development something, I don't know what they call it. That's why Electoral is working in all the local governments in Abia State. All the local Electoral is working in all the local governments in Abia State. Project. So we will not see one single
naira from their own allocation.
Yes, from one single convert. But go to Electoral to building hospitals, roads, schools.
Prince, let us not make it an legislative program.
No, we can.
You have used him so many instances to say. But let us.
Yes, people should be emulating that man, that short man. That short man they call electoral. People should be emulating him. He's tall at surface, but a giant. at heart.
Yeah, but the issue I want you to address is, what should we be telling? Is it okay? You said that a number of those local government chairmen may end up in jail because they have now received Supreme Court backing to be financially autonomous. If they are there and they are signing documents that incriminate them as having received what they did not receive, the day of reckoning is coming.
Yes. Yes.
And if they end up in Kuje or Kirikiri, that is purely their own business.
Yes.
But the electorate is my interest this morning. Some of the local government chairmen may want to go to higher political positions. If they are so lily-livered as not to protect the authority, autonomy given to them by the judiciary, should they go any further?
No. Local government chairmen, as I said before, governors have picked them. But where you're going to hold them, in case some of them that are educated, that want to go to House of Assembly, they want to go to House of Rep, even some of them would like to go to House of Senate, it depends. Electorate will ask them, you are local government chairman for 3 years, 4 years. What did you do to us? What did you do for us? What did you brought to us? Electorate should reject them. And not only local government chairman, electorate should reject senators, House of Rep members, House of Assembly members who want to come back again, or who want to go and do other things. Electorate should reject them. I believe so. They should reject them. In Nigeria, governors feel that. A governor now, you be a governor. When you want to select your commissioner, you select by yourself. But when president wants to select minister, you want him to consult with you before he can select a minister for your state. And yes, a minister. And those governors, they overbearing, they over-assessing themselves. They are giving themselves the power they don't have. But we are waiting for them. That's why some of them, after being a governor, they want to go and be Senate president. Because they cannot mix with people. So that the immunity will be covering them. A governor, after being a governor, they want to go and be a Senate president. No. No. Akpado is not my friend. By the grace of God, if Tinubu comes back to power, let Akpado remain there. But if any other person comes, if they want to choose Akpado, I'll be happy because Akpado is our in-law. He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot for us. Praise. Now, there is an institution that ought to be holding the state governments and the state governor to account and prevent the governor from the excessive use of his executive powers, the state legislature. You just said now that it is the state governor that most of the time handpick those who become local government chairmen. You also said here that the state governors wrestle the money allocated to local governments to do whatever they want with it. If the state governors are acting this way, what of the state legislature? The state legislature is supposed to check the excesses of the governors. It is either they are complicit or they are incompetent. If they are complicit, what should the electorate act? If my phone was here, I could have shown you videos of some legislators who want to return to power across the country. And I sit down and ask myself that if these people are not able to check the excesses of the governor and they want to go back to power, what do they go back there to do? So, those of them who want to even return to the state legislature, who have not been able to perform and check the governors,
Should they go back there?
You said they are either
Complicit or incompetent.
They are both. They are both. The dictators are both. You ask me why? Okay, some governments will come to power now. When they come to power now, the opposition party, they have something like 9 members in the House of
Assembly.
You know what they will do? They'll go and buy. They'll go and buy them. When they bought them over, then his party will have majority in the House of Assembly.
Prince, did you hear the language he used? And that is the language I want you to address. They buy them over. In other words, those legislators have put themselves up for sale.
They are now slaves to the governor. I'm coming, sir. They are not slaves to the governor. I said, if a governor come to power now, some of them, what they will look, how many? He said 9 members, 10 members of opposition party, maybe 3 from that, but 2 from 1. You bought them over. When you bought them over, they are now his slave. Then there always be a contest who will be the speaker, who will be house leader, deputy speaker. The governor will go and choose. He will choose for them. And use money also. That's the end of that legislators. That's what they call rubber stamp. The House of Assembly will be permanently the rubber stamp
for the governor. Prince, wait. My producer. Okay, go ahead.
Some of them, a speaker of House of Assembly, if you want to meet his wife, you got to take permission from the governor. I'm telling you. He's caged. He's caged. Go ahead, sir.
Now, my producer says I don't have more than 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
In all this conversation we have had this morning, let's look at the takeaways. Governors who have not performed, who want to return, electorate should reject them. That's what you said.
Yes, reject them. Reject them.
Governors who have not performed, who want to go to the Senate, the electorate should dump them.
Yes.
But I said to you, the political parties consider them as people of influence, and the parties want to win election. Riding on the back of incompetence or corruption to win election. How good is that?
Yes. Because most of the governors are not working. They will carry the whole money. They use that money to buy votes. That's why some of them, their political party are giving them a ticket. But this time, people are awake. I am appealing to the electorate. When a former governor, a senator, former senator, a sitting governor, when they bring money to you to vote for them, collect it and don't vote for them. That money is your money.
Okay, that money is your money. That's what Prince is saying. In the last election, we are told, collect the money, is your money. But it's a bit difficult in a very moralistic society like ours. How can I collect this man's money? But Prince says it is not their
It is your money, not the governor's money.
Your money, not the governor's money. Well, I don't know whether they should even collect it at all.
No,
because sometimes it's good to tell the truth right in the face of the criminal. But that's your position. In the past 1 hour, I've been conversing with Prince Elias Odemina. He's the convener of Igbo Union. But this morning, he came in his capacity as publisher and public affairs analyst. We've looked at the day of reckoning as political activities pick up. We looked at what the performance records of the governors are. Some of them are exiting now because they have completed their tenure. Some of them are asking for a re-election. The question is, have they justified re-election? Have they justified being given another opportunity at a different level of our governance structure. His one regular line is, either failed, don't give them a second chance. Don't give them a second chance, because the leopard does not change its spot. Prince, I want to thank you for finding time to join us this morning.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for having me again.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
My name is Wabos Njoko. Of course, the name never changes. I want to thank you for investing your time with us this morning. Please have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bright and early, as the day breaks, as the newspaper headlines trail the stories that shape the day, we at Signature TV trail the headlines that trail the day. We interrogate the headlines. We analyze the stories that make the headlines.
WAEC is overrated, and they even overrated themselves and went into CBT. They are insensitive of some Nigerian children who have never heard what it was CBT.
With passion and emotion, we drive the conversation to change the narrative.
Let nobody be deceived by Nigerian high level of performing in agriculture export. We are still where we are.
Newspaper review on Signature TV every morning on Signature Morning, weekdays, and Signature New Day, weekends. Newspaper review on Signature TV. We do not just review the headlines, we make the headlines relevant to our daily lives. New every morning on Signature TV. We open the day for you with needed energy, information, and required vibes to shape your day. From sizzling snippets of stories in various areas of life to intriguing conversations with net worth guests.
When you have people who have no track record becoming your leaders, you have a problem. There's no outstanding gratuity when Obi took over from me. I left, in all the accounts of Anambra State, 13.8 billion for him.
Your day cannot be complete without Signature Morning on weekdays and Signature New Day on weekends. There is no better way to start your day except Signature Morning and Signature New Day every day on Signature TV.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
So can I wish you a happy new year? Fantastic 2026. You are welcome. My name is Wabos Njoko, and we are beginning the year with issues in Nigeria's pump pricing of petrol across the country. Now, it's important for me to take you back a little bit. On November 29, 2023, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was being inaugurated as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the very first statement of promise he made, can I quote him? Subsidy is gone. By that presidential pronouncement, the president changed the dynamics in our oil industry calculations. Let me not go any further. I'm not competent really. I'll just raise these issues and allow those who know to help me this morning. Issues in Nigeria's pump pricing of petrol. That is the topic of our conversation this morning. I'm a guest, Madaki Ame. Now, I will introduce Madaki Ame really as a public interest defender. That is what he is. a lawyer, public interest defender. But he is brewed, baked, buttered, and sandwiched in the oil industry. So he knows the game. He knows how it operates. That's what brought him here. And that's what has brought him where he is within the Nigerian public sector, or within Nigerian public view. Madaki, you are welcome to the first edition of Signature Morning from Abuja this 2026.
Always a pleasure, let me tell you.
Madaki, you see, I'm raising an issue of concern to me even as an ordinary citizen. The controversies, the conversation going on in the pump pricing of petrol in the country. And as I said in my introduction, I want us to start this conversation right from 29th of May 2023, when the president said, I have removed subsidy. Subsidy is gone. Madaki, think about that statement. It was weighty for the oil industry. Do you think that statement was well thought out? Was it roundedly thought out before the president made that pronouncement?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chief Njoku. It's always a pleasure to be here. You know, and one of the reasons why I've never declined your invitation to be on your program is because, you know, I don't know how you do it, but you bring a lot of fervor, you know, a lot of intellectualism into the conversation, you know, and unless the person interviewing you is actually really good and sound in the topic, you know, and he has done some research, you know, if the questions are peripheral, the answers will also necessarily be peripheral. You get the point. So that said, you know, I think that statement, subsidy is gone, was a totally irresponsible statement, you know, by the president. And I say this without any form of fear of contradiction, you know, and I do not say this lightly, you know, because government policy as I know it, you know, in a structured country, should not just be made, you know, by official declaration, just because somebody feels he has just acquired power and then he can inflict pain, you know, on the people. That singular statement, subsidy is gone, took the pump price of petrol from 190 naira, I think, that it was that morning, and I even bought at 190 naira. But as soon as the speech was made and it said subsidy is gone, the pump price adjusted itself to about 680 naira or whatever it was at that time. And you can just imagine the jump. You can imagine the pain. You know, every country exists to serve the interests of the people and not to cause them pain. But if the president comes and says, well, I'll take bold decisions, it's good for a president to take bold decisions, but if those bold decisions are taken without having thought through the consequences for the people and without having a clear knowledge of the end from the beginning, and you say, well, let's model through. After all, for too many decades we have been talking about subsidy and subsidy. I am that president that will take the decision to remove it, and you are plucking it out like a dentist who will pluck out somebody's tooth without any form of anesthetic or you know, sedating the person. Just imagine you are removing all the incisors of a human being and you say you are just doing it because you are a bold dentist. I think you are just almost a demon. You get the point. And look at the pain, look at the impoverishment of Nigerians, you know, ever since Tinubu became president. You know, whatever experimentation his economic team, I don't even know whether he has an economic team anymore, came on board with, has not translated to any result that anybody can monitor. Today they say they have met their revenue target and exceeded it. The very next day they are borrowing money for frivolous things that nobody sees the impact on the economy. Money that will still be paid from this same helpless, you know, low income earning economy.
I must make a case here for the Minister of Finance and Coordinator of National Economy. As politicians say that they have met their revenue target and exceeded it, that minister has been consistent in his saying the figures don't add up. That the figures don't add up. And if the figures don't add up, it then means that the figures being bandied by politicians are just for political impression. Let us impress the public. But the economic minders are giving us the facts that in fact is not all rosy. And that is why they want to bring in more people into the tax net, just to make the case for the minister.
Yeah, I hear you, but thank God you're not the minister's spokesman.
No, I'm not.
And then what you have just said is even a manifestation of a much deeper problem in the Nigerian economy. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy cannot be saying one thing, and then the President, who is supposed to be taking economic advice from the minister, will be saying another thing in order to look nice for the optics. You get the point? That then confirms the feeling that most Nigerians have that this is a lie government.
No, let's leave. Let's go back to the oil.
No, I'm going. No, let's make this point. Because if the Minister of the Economy, who is coordinating the entire economy, who is more like Minister, extraordinary and plenipotentiary, as far as the economy is concerned, and supposed to coordinate activities that will lead to the progress of this economy, says we are not meeting revenue target too. In fact, that's why we are borrowing. And then the president goes in another vein and says, we have exceeded our revenue targets. Money is not our problem. It is how to spend it. It means that you have an Idi Amin situation where the central bank governor said, man, if you print more money, this thing will become like tissue paper. And the man says, okay, like Uganda money is tissue paper, take him away and do to him what they do to tissue paper. You get the point? See, I really don't know what we are doing. So when economists come to on this your program and other programs on channels and whatever, and they're talking, I feel sorry for them because I'm not an economist, I'm a lawyer, but over time I think I see myself now more of a petroleum economist. You get the point in a way, because economy is actually common sense. If people who are the managers of the economy have refused to apply common sense, to the management of Naira and Kobo, as it affects you and I, and they are doing it with impunity, they are also doing it without listening to any form of advice or professional advice, and then they just do it with impunity and they don't care what the outcomes are. Then we are doomed as a country. And quite frankly, you and I, thank God, you've been around much longer than myself. I don't believe your age, but the truth is because I think there is some part of your DNA that you must share with us. But the truth of the matter is that because you have seen so much more in terms of life than myself, that means you have actually witnessed this frustration much longer than myself. I'm astounded every time I listen to government officials. Where do they, what drives them? How can they run a country like this? You get the point. Even if you run your nuclear family the way Nigeria is run, the Nigerian economy is run, you will run that nuclear family aground. You get the point. And nobody wants to see his children starving.
Okay, let us begin to look at why we made this issue a matter for conversation this morning. Now, before I get into what Dangote have been saying about pricing of petrol in Nigerian oil sector, let me draw our attention to provisions being made in the budget. Pronouncements being made by the National Assembly. One, the president says the subsidy is gone. Regulatory agencies, NNPC, are all talking about under recovery. And in the budget and in the statements being made for the National Assembly, provisions are being made to cover the under recovery. Please help me, because I'm coming from point of ignorance. What is the fundamental difference between under recovery and subsidy? Is one a euphemism for the other?
Yes.
Under recovery and then subsidy.
Well, the first time I heard the term under recovery was when Dizani was the Minister of Petroleum.
Yes.
And I think that was a very ingenious coinage in order to avoid using the bad word subsidy, because they realized that the Nigerian public had already become tired of hearing the word subsidy. So they had to find a new name, to call the bad dog, before they hang it. So they now call it under recovery. But they all refer to the same thing, just the clever by half acronym, or coinage, for subsidy. But subsidy in itself is not a death sentence. It's actually not a wrong thing. Since 2012, when Nigerians had the first subsidy strike, the drama that led to Lawan going to prison, being pardoned by this government, and all of that. The dollars that were hidden under a cap, and all of that. Probably one of the darkest, one of the many dark moments, in this economy, in this country, where we now are totally numb, to scandals. You get the point. But then it was actually a serious scandal. And Nigerians went to the streets. I think Jonathan was the president at the time.
Yes, he was.
In 2012. That was when I started making public appearances on television
on this
to discuss this. And over time, I want to, without due regard to modesty, say that I've developed expertise in this area. I've studied everything that can be studied. And because I also think very clearly, I've thought through this very clearly. You get the point? And I've discovered that, what Nigerians have been paying for, and the government has been arrogantly calling subsidy, has actually been inefficiency. The government's inability to manage the economics around a liter of petrol, or a liter of diesel, or a liter of kerosene, or for that matter, 4 liters of lube oils, because they all come from the same process, or even the cooking gas, which also is a byproduct, the LPG, which is a byproduct of the petroleum refining process. You get the point. So, what Nigerians have grown under, since oil was discovered, and since the military regime came, and introduced the subsidy as a palliative, I think in 1973 or something.
An equalizer.
And they set up the Petroleum Equalization Fund, which should never have been set up in the first place. Because you are not equalizing the price of Gary, or you are not equalizing the price of basic products that are necessary for human life, like pharmaceuticals. Or you are not equalizing the price of education for children. And you come and you say you want to equalize the price of petrol, so that petrol can be sold in Maiduguri, at the same price as it's sold in Port Harcourt, where there are 2 refineries, or in a place like Lagos, where they have several petroleum depots, and the product is there. I don't see the economics that
warranted that
informed that Petroleum Equalization Fund, in the first place. And to think that billions and billions of dollars was sunk into this funny process of trying to keep prices the same throughout the country, and then,
that was what that removal of subsidy was supposed to also address that issue.
Yes, but now we are 2 years plus into the so-called subsidy is gone. If we ask Tinubu a question today and say, Oga, please, this is not about politics. It's about you carrying out a half-term review of yourself and being honest to Nigerians. Your statement of subsidy is gone. What has been the positive financial impact on?
And that is exactly the question many Nigerians are asking. Removal of subsidy was supposed to have saved billions, if not trillions.
Trillions, actually.
Now, under recovery is costing the country money. Price of petrol is still high. Are we not suffering triple jeopardy? We talk about double jeopardy. Is the country not suffering triple jeopardy?
If not a quadruple whammy. It is. The problem is that because the lives of government officials are 100% subsidized. So when they are complaining that the economy is not making enough money, what they're actually saying is that we don't have, how much of your money we are spending on frivolities, is not increasing. So even though we want to enjoy more we are unable to enjoy more because the revenue that's available for us to spend as we please is depleting because we are not, bringing enough into the till. You get the point? That's the truth. And I say this pointedly because, I've lived in this world now for 59 years. This is going to be my 60th year on earth. I can't remember anything that the government of this country has ever done for me. Nothing. And that's the truth. You get the point? My education was purely through the effort of my parents, who were poor civil servants. My father was a poor civil, was a normal civil servant who didn't collect a dime as bribe throughout his 96 years that he lived on earth, And, but he ate out a living and brought all 17 of us that he sired into this world, all the way to university level. So I grew up knowing that my father had nothing. He gave of himself completely. I've never seen anybody make that level of sacrifice, for his children. You get the point? Same for my mother, who didn't go to formal education but was very wise and was doing her petty trading in the supermarket, selling grains all her life until she died 3 years ago. But you see the pain on the faces of Nigerians, and they live their lives from day to day without the existence of a government. You get the point? And I say this with pain in my heart because I know that governments elsewhere exist to be able to make life livable.
Now let us borrow from Dangote because I'm coming to the crux of this conversation. Dangote is giving out figures. He's raised two fundamental issues in the past 2 months. First, he told Nigerians that gantry price of petrol in Dangote refinery is about 693 naira per liter. The gantry price. In other words, the tanks that come in to take petrol to go and distribute, they sell by at 693 naira per liter. But that what actually Dangote refinery sells that petrol is about 391 or 93 naira. The additional 300 naira on top of what he would have sold ordinarily goes to the regulatory agencies, goes to the unions. In other words, when the president said he had removed subsidy and petrol sold at over 1,000 naira per liter pump price has gone down now to 890 or 890 or 840, 840, 820, at least in Abuja.
NNPC 815.
Thank you. And Dangote is telling Nigerians that what he sells is 693, but what actually Dangote takes for his 1 liter of petrol is 393. That additional 300 naira burden is not determined by market forces. It's determined by the demands of regulatory agencies to collect money for not being part of the production process or selling process, and the unions. What does this amount to? Because what Dangote said is known to the government. Mark this, my last words. What Dangote said is known to the government. In other words, the government knows that a 300 naira per liter burden is placed on Nigerians in order to service a regulatory agency that doesn't add to production. Unions do not add value. What ought to be the government's handling of this kind of situation?
Honestly, I don't know. Your question will just, make one to just run away from this country. But the truth of the matter again, Chief Njoko.
Well, I didn't want to give you the statistics. The fact didn't become the facts.
Exactly. Dangote, I think, is one of the most patriotic Nigerians ever to be alive. And I make this point not oblivious of the fact that I have always been a very strong critic of Dangote. Because I had this notion that he's a monopolist, and all he wants to do is make money. If Dangote wanted to make money from the petroleum industry, which is actually a late entrant into, he has always been a commodities person. Sugar, I remember
cement,
water even. Yeah. He had his own brand of water in those days. All sorts of things. Semolina, anything, salt. Yeah. There's nothing Dangote does not sell. And he still sells them and makes money out of those things. But a few years ago, he comes and says, I want to set up a refinery. Many people thought he was crazy. Because then, the feeling in the oil and gas industry was that, which I think is totally misplaced, was that fossil fuels were destroying the environment and that they needed to be phased out anyway. So you do solar, you do biomass, you do other things, but in fact, you even convert sugarcane to some kind of fuel.
That was the story.
Convert sugarcane or grass or whatever food that people are supposed to eat. You now convert it to fuel so that people can starve. You know what I mean? You have to make the environment greener. For God's sake, this doesn't make any sense. For another 50 to 100 years, oil is here with us, and oil is going nowhere. In terms of the mix. That said, we go back to pricing. Dangote's revelation, that 300 naira at least in a pump price, between 693 naira, and the 393 naira that he gets, that comes to his organization, out of which he pays salaries, he pays for crude, he pays tax, he pays the the loans that he took at the exorbitant rates, to build this massive refinery, which all that he gets, for all of this humongous, near out of this world infrastructure to deliver petrol and diesel and kerosene at our pumps is 393 naira. But that same product is sold at 820, 840, 815, whatever price they want to pay now. Nigerians have become numb. Before, 2 naira, 3 naira increase in the pump price could lead to a major national conflagration because the unions were leading the country in the wrong direction. They were whipping up some sentiment and saying, no, it must not be 700. No, then it was even in small figures like 50 naira. If they wanted to increase pump price from 50 naira to 55 naira or 53 naira, they will strike and grind the whole country down. Why are they not striking now? It's not even worse right now. You get the point. But Nigerians have been led by the nose for many years by people who are either ignorant and deliberately so, or genuinely actually ignorant because they don't know. This country is run by ignorant people. That's the truth. In a good country, they should line people up and shoot them, like the Chinese do. You get the point. There was a time somebody said that when the subsidy regime was on, that they were making so much money that he was tired of making money. I hope you read something about a certain person who had a name who said that there was so much free money. And you and I were here, almost dying of hunger, eking out an existence to pay children's school fees. You get the point? So what we are saying is this. We've been claiming to have ministers of petroleum. But most of them, I think all of them actually, they didn't know their left from their right. You get the point? They didn't know what they were ministering in that petroleum industry. That's the truth. We've always had, round pegs in square holes. And then they go on television, they tell all the stories around how much they know. The media, of course, you people. I'm
talking with you from point of ignorance. I'm not an industrial person.
What I'm saying is that the media pumps up their profile. They say they polish their CV. And then once the CV goes, this is the best man for this industry, blah, blah, blah. Whoever, package the person for the job, packages him, and then he comes pretending to know what he's doing, reads out stupid policies that cause more pain to the people. when a country is paying an arbitrage of 300 naira for every 1 liter of petrol sold by the refinery at 693 naira. 300 naira of that is wastage on unions or regulators who regulate nothing, on all manner of things that don't add value to this economy. And we're talking. And why I'm actually very gratified about this information which you have put across is that since 2012, since this argument about subsidy or no subsidy, I have always maintained the fact that subsidy as we know it is a self-inflicted injury. We are just like a man carrying a cutlass and cutting his own leg off, and then he's complaining that there's a pain. We inflicted this injury on ourselves. Because even if the government wants to subsidize, and I've been saying this thing a long time ago, before Tinubu government came, I wrote an article that said, even as you are coming, we can sell petrol at 300 naira per litre and we will not pay a dime.
I'm willing to die to this conversation.
I subsidy to anybody.
And
nobody took me seriously. I've been saying this thing since 2012. If a child born in 2012 will almost be getting ready to go to the husband's house as a female. You get the point? But this is a country of the deaf. The government is all-knowing, so no matter what you say, nobody is interested in what you have to say. It is who is saying it that matters. You know the point, how well the person has been packaged. Otherwise, whatever is there, what does he know? And that's the end. If we don't run a country based on knowledge, and we're running countries, you are running an entire people, 230 million people, based on the ignorance of their president and the people he chooses to be his aides, then honestly it is shameful. And it's actually an existential threat, to the future of this country.
Now, before we dwell on that threat, there is a second issue that Dangote has raised. He's raising the alarm that the current spiral in the pump price of petrol may hit 1,400 naira per litre unless something is done. And he is recommending what ought to be done. He's attributing it to the continued importation of petrol in a currency regime that is being devalued. Secondly, he's pegging it on the very limited capacity of local refiners. And he says it is a contradiction that Nigeria produces crude, has refineries, has given license for modular refineries, wouldn't help those refineries to operate, and chooses to import petrol. That what kind of regulatory authority will claim patriotism, national development with this kind of self-defeating policy? And therefore he says, for the price to come down and stabilize, please increase local refining capacity. And there are many modular refinery licenses. Help them operate. People have always accused Dangote of being a monopoly or thinking monopoly. But to me, this argument doesn't sound monopolistic.
Not at all.
And then he says, naturally, the price of petrol, of petroleum products, will come down. But the way it is, where the regulatory agencies are interested in giving licenses for importation, they are themselves killing the national economy. Do you think Dangote is fighting the international oil cartel by this argument for his own survival? Or is he being really patriotic and being a reasonable player in the national economy?
Again, you should be a professor. You know why you're not lecturing in the university? Because, if you were a teacher, students would really be afraid of you. The reason is that, nobody will have an answer to your questions. But again, I go back to, let me cut off the comedy. I'm actually a part-time comedian. I tell my children that if I were not lawyer, I'd be a comedian. And I think I would have made more money from comedy than
we're talking national challenges now.
Nobody pays me for being a lawyer, but that's a story for another day. Now, I think that the country should do away with the National Merit Award, and then all these meaningless, Grand Commander of this, Grand Commander of that. You get the point. Let's set up a National Genius Award. You get the point? And when we set up a National Genius Award, the first candidate, the first awardee of the National Genius Award should be Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Because not only is he patriotic, he is thoroughly patriotic. You get the point? Now I can, I said this without any, I've been on global television before to call him a monopolist. And one of the programs are there. And I had good reason to say so. When he was complaining about about the importation of substandard petroleum products when his refinery was just coming on board. And I was saying it at the time that why would he say that when we have a regulator that's supposed to be checking standards? We now know that regulator was paying outrageous amounts of money in school fees for his child in Switzerland, allegedly. But he's now no longer an allegation. The man ran away from his role, with his tail in between his legs when Dangote put him on the spot. And that was a good thing. In a good country, that man should be in prison right now, while investigations are going on. But in Nigeria, everybody gets a slap on the wrist. In fact, I'm told that EFCC is only interested in cases depending on how or the size of the corruption. Because they will be asking themselves, how much of this amount will they get if the money is small? So if the money is small, you will not get them interested in the case. And that's the truth. And I can look the chairman of EFCC in the face and tell him that this is the feedback that the market has for you. You get the point? Now, I still for another day. So the National Genius Award is all we need. I don't think we need to award more than 5 of them in a year. So we clearly identify those whose genius has helped this country or had the potential of helping this country to move to the next level. Dangote has single-handedly contributed more, to the growth of this economy in all ramifications than anybody alive or dead. You get the point? So Dangote should be seen as an enigma, as as some object to be studied. You get the point? Because it takes more than somebody who wants to make money, for himself and all of that to be a Dangote. You get the point? All the other people are rent-seeking, profiteers who just want to create avenues to make money. But quite frankly, if Dangote wanted to make money, what he should be doing is to struggle to increase his market share from his humble 393 naira and inch closer to the market price at the gantry. He can insist that the entire gantry price should come to him because after all, he's the one that owns the refinery. But he's saying that, he's declaring to the world that this gantry price I'm charging is not even my money. Well. I'm helping the unions to collect their money. I'm helping the regulators to collect money to go and spend on their children's school fees abroad. I'm helping. So there's Nigeria is not being run based on any understandable economic model. Nigeria is being run as a moving crime scene as far as I'm concerned. I want to be as harsh as I can be, on this program. You get the point? Without caring what it is, because I have free speech. We are in a country that's supposedly run by free speech, and we need to be able to talk, and say the things that are wrong. Every single thing is wrong with this economy. You get the point? And the way the economy is managed. But nobody seems to care. And there's no consequence for foolishness. And then for running this country aground. The other day, the president came and forgave the trillions of debts that NNPC said they were owing. He said, just don't worry, don't pay it. Who does that? Shouldn't there be an investigation to say where did that debt come from? Because recently NNPC has been cooking their books and declaring that they are making a profit. So how can an organization that's supposed to be a commercial organization that has been pretending, and cooking books and telling the whole world that they are making profit, suddenly come and say we have made so much losses? And the president, with the stroke of his left hand, says, I forgive you the debts, without wanting to find out how those debts arose. How do we make progress as a country if we sweep, inefficiency, exactly, clearly, brazenly, and every year we budget in trillions, and then a huge percentage of that trillion goes into servicing dubious debts, and at the end of the day, you say you are running an economy, they should be ashamed of themselves. Quite frankly, I don't listen to the national budget anymore. Okay. Before, they used to bring me, and other people to come and analyze national budget. This is how much they say they're going to spend on education. This is how much I say, but I'm no longer interested. They will invite me, I used to do that on a number of the channels TV, this and that. I don't go. You invite me, I say I'm not coming. It's a waste of my time. Why would I, nobody pays us, pays anybody for being on television and saying anything. If I give advice, at least, if you will implement even a modicum of it so that you can improve something, then it makes sense. But if you are shouting at the dead wall, you know what I mean? And then nobody cares. Then I'll keep coming to come and talk. There are times Chimjoku have actually asked me to come and I say I'm doing a media blanket. I'm not coming. And I will not come. But it's out of respect for you. And this your program is probably the only one I now still show up in.
Let me take us to solutions. Because one thing they accuse the media of is that we raise issues, we criticize policies, and we don't even try to get from our guests, the experts, what ought to be done. I'm going to raise 2 issues that require making suggestions to the president. The first is, Dangote has spoken about the figures, and the president, if he did not know, now knows that Nigerians could have gotten petrol at a much lower price if regulatory authorities had been decent. So what Nigerians are paying for is to sustain an agency whose function is to regulate. We are paying them. And those agencies are budgeted for in the budget every year. What will you tell the president in that regard?
Well, my first advice will be for the president to, for once, appoint a competent person to be the Minister of Petroleum. You get the point? Right now, honestly, it's a mess. The politician after politician after politician who know next to nothing about the industry are put in charge. So even when they are running rings around them, they do not know. You get the point? And the oil and gas industry is so central to this economy that you cannot afford to run it on the basis of politics and mediocrity. The president has no business being the Minister of Petroleum, substantive Minister of Petroleum. And then every year in, year out, there's the culture of, appointing the Minister of State for Petroleum, Minister of State for Gas, because they say the ministry is too important, the president should take charge. The president is totally incompetent as far as the oil industry is concerned. He claims to have worked in, Mobile and all that, but I don't know the quality of work that he did there.
Well, the president is an accountant.
Yeah, but an accountant, is not necessarily a petroleum economist. He's not necessarily knowledgeable even, because the knowledge that Dangote is using to tell us these figures that are shocking, you know what I mean? It's not the knowledge that he gained in the university for what he studied. You get the point. Accountants count other people's money. When my son was going to the university, the mother filled jam form with him, and they said he should go and study accounting. When they gave him admission, and he was supposed to enroll in Veritas University, I said, sorry, you can't go and study accounting. Rather than count other people's money, I'll prefer for you to study entrepreneurship. So he went and we changed it, and he went and studied entrepreneurship, and he's doing great. He's now in Malta studying for a master's degree, in digital marketing, ways that will empower him to become a rich man, and to employ accountants to count his money. Instead of him to be, that clever accountant what are you calculating figures for? If you tell me 2 plus 2, I may not know the answer, but if you say 2 naira plus 2 naira, I know it's 4 naira. You get the point? So just put a currency figure in front of the figure and I will know it straight. The only subject I never passed in school, I came first in. Every single time I write exams, I come first. The only subject I had an F9 in proudly. And I can put that certificate on my face like they gave certificate of dismissal to some people from political parties recently. I can put that certificate on my face and with pride that I did not pass mathematics. I couldn't understand the way the figures. What is algebra? What is find X? X is on the paper, and you're telling me to find it. It is there. If all the people who have been finding X, what do they do with it?
But they found it in
do some funny calculation and they see X that has been on the paper since morning. You're finding it. And then you have found it and you feel satisfied that you have found it. Okay, you find it now. Let's see how that translates to the cost of Gary.
So first advice.
The advice to the president, let competent people run this economy. And there are many of them.
And run
there are many people who are so competent, they know this industry like the back of their hands, but they will never be put in charge. Do something about this. You get the point.
Okay.
if your interest is actually in running this economy and improving the way this country, you don't have any business borrowing a dime from any source. So when they are doing deficit budgeting, I just don't understand. There's so much money to be made from this economy. And the first thing to do is to stop selling crude oil. For every barrel of crude oil you sell, you are shortchanging this country heavily. Because if the people who are buying your crude for cheap are not making money from the refining process, why would they buy it? Do you understand? So I say, crude oil producing country, we must stop selling crude to the international market. We must add value. It is that value that Dangote is adding by setting up the biggest oil refinery in the world, here in this country. Nobody thought it was possible. It's the single biggest single stream petroleum refinery in the world, and he wants to increase capacity. So if the business of refining were not profitable, why would all the why would there be more than 100 refineries in the US? You get the point. The US, surprise, you may not know this, but the US produces more crude oil than any other country in the world, including Saudi Arabia. Everybody hears about Saudi Arabia's crude, but the US produces and still buys. They buy because crude is cheap, and when they know that when they add value, they will make so many times more money than they will make by selling crude. Those who sell crude are the ones who quickly want money, in whatever currency, and then they just go and then swash it away.
So please get the right people to run the sector
who know
and stop
to run
selling of crude.
Selling crude oil.
Now,
then
yes,
the issue was never subsidy, but what was being subsidized.
Now, I'm coming to that because I said I was going to raise to create, because in my last conversation with you on this matter, you said to me then under Buhari that you had a model that could bring down the pump price of petrol to 300 naira then without any talk of subsidy or no subsidy.
No, interestingly, it couldn't have been 300 naira because under Buhari, petrol never went.
It was 194.
It was 194, 197.
Yes, I think so.
So that model, which I developed in 2012, would actually have brought petrol prices to a small fraction of what it was then and what it has now snowballed.
Now, why I'm raising that matter now, because that's another critical issue I want you to address. We are buying petrol at 8.15, 8.20, 8.40. Dangote says, remove 300 naira being given away. It will count about 393.
That's 400.
Call it 400. The people will truck their whatever and add their transportation costs. Let's give them under 100 naira per liter to cover their costs. It may come to 500. Is it possible for Nigeria to sell petrol under any method, under any model, for less than 500, 600 naira per liter?
Completely.
Tell me how.
By looking at two things. First of all, we have no business buying crude oil for refining locally at the international price of crude. We've been doing this for years. And the example again is not rocket science. I produce yams. I want to give food to my children. And then I say, because I'm not even buying the dollar. You get the point? So I'm not even buying the dollar. You get the point? So it's naira to rupee. So if the country is buying something from me, they pay me in naira. If I'm buying something from them, I pay them in rupee. You get the point?
Let me call your name, Madakiame.
Yes.
Would you want Trump to listen to you this morning?
Well, I don't know.
Or do you want him to hang you?
I don't know about Trump. You get the point?
No. Do you want him to hang you? Because you're asking, this model is circumventing dollar denomination of crude business.
Why should dollar be the marker for international trade? I find it extremely funny. A Nigerian wants to buy something from China, and then they say they open the letter of credit in dollar. So when you now buy the dollar, then you have to convert again to yuan to be able to pay at the source country. What most people do now that makes sense is that because the economies have become global, if you're buying something from the Chinese, the Chinese will have a Naira account. You credit the yuan equivalent in Naira into the Naira account of the Chinese company. And the Chinese company just simply pays, gives you value in yuan and sends your products to you. That way, no dollar has been involved. This is being done on a reg. So that's why, the CBN is there, their bogus infrastructure and the difficulty around getting their. How do you think that most of the Igbo people import the things they import into this country? If you want to wait for CBN to give you dollar, to be able to import something in yuan or in rupee from India or China, China, the whole year will end and you not do any business. You get the point. So people have cleverly, avoided the CBN now and they're just doing their own thing. You get the point. Because we can actually.
Have you heard the other side of the story of Trump's adventure in Venezuela?
Yes, I have.
That is in fact. In reaction to what you are just saying this morning. In reaction to what you are saying this morning.
But you see, a wrong thing cannot be sustained for long. You get the point. Every country, like we can have a crazy Nigerian president who says, yes, the Naira should become the currency of Africa. So anybody who wants to buy anything should buy something in Naira. And then he's doing that and bullying them because he has planes, and bombers who are ready to attack any country that says, no, this doesn't make sense. You get the point. It's also the fallacy of borrowing money in foreign currency. The US government survives on printing the dollar. And they can print any quantity because they know it will be mopped up. But the Rwandan president, Paul Kagame, made the point the other day that no sovereign nation needs to borrow money from another country. Print it. You get the point. You want to construct a road from here to Makurdi, and then you are going to borrow dollar in order to pay Julius Berger. Let them print the Naira that's required to make the.
And give it to Julius
Berger. Give it credit. In fact, you don't even need to print it. Just these days the digital alert. Alert them in the amount that needs to be they need to pay the engineers and Nigerians. Everybody, if they have to bring us parts from abroad, because they're working here in Nigeria and they're spending money to buy gari, and okra and all that, let their income be in Naira. And then all the roads are constructed. Why do we inflict pain on ourselves, understand, thinking that we studied economics or studied something else, when it is native knowledge that keeps the world running? You get the point?
No, Madaki, this morning you are cutting trouble.
Oh, God.
And you are cutting trouble for the Nigerian nation because the international politics around the dollar can make a number of presidents and governments victims if they don't.
If they are victims because they lack knowledge or the courage to run their economy, so be it, quite frankly. I think we need more victims.
I think I can tell you for free that Maduro had courage.
No, he didn't.
He had courage to run the economy.
He didn't. I think he deserved to have been handcuffed the way he was. And a few more presidents actually deserve to be handcuffed. I don't want to name the names yet.
Please don't. They don't name any names. But Maduro was trying to protect his country.
It is called the Maduro treatment. Many more presidents deserve the Maduro treatment.
Because Trump, an American analyst said that Trump was not going for Maduro's oil. Mm-hmm. That Maduro did not commit any drug offense. Mm-hmm. And that Maduro did not have any.
Yeah, it was because of bypassing the dollar. Yes.
Bypassing the dollar. And that's what you're here preaching this morning.
And he's also going to, the next target is Iran. It's not about executing his citizens. The Iranians have always executed their citizens. You get the point. But the man has said, anybody who is doing this current riot that has lasted for almost a month, if they dare execute them, that is coming there. And they have put all the executions on hold because they are afraid of the bombs. You get the point.
So please, I'm also afraid of you this morning because what you are saying might attract bomb to us, and I dissociate myself from all that you said about circumventing the dollar this morning.
It will not. But the truth of the matter is that what is right and what is wrong is wrong.
Okay, but if this is done, you believe that the cost of the
we can do 100
naira.
We can do 100 naira per liter. Honestly, we can actually today do 100 naira per liter. Let me explain to you why. The wellhead cost of a barrel of crude oil is so much lower than the international price of a barrel of crude oil. And the price of crude oil is 80% of the price of refined products at the pump. You can ask Dangote, he will tell you. You get the point. So at the end of the day, the cost of refining, paying salaries, bringing out all the equipment now just accounts for less than 20% of the cost of that 1 liter that we buy. But honestly, no matter how inefficiently the oil companies produce, if they are reporting their costs honestly and they're not padding, no single barrel of crude oil, and when I talk of a barrel, we are looking at 190 liters. You get the point?
Yes.
About that, 195 liters, should cost more than $5 a barrel, no matter how inefficiently you produce. In fact, when I was in Shell, and I left Shell 18 years ago, by the way, when I was in Shell, we were going on a strike because the owners of the Shell International, the international owners of Shell said that the unit operating cost for Shell was too high and that they needed to downsize. So they wanted to cream off the top management that were Nigerian so that they could bring their own people. And the justification was that we were running an inefficient unit operating cost for crude production. So I was the union leader at the time. I was vice chairman of Pengasan, in Shell. So, because some of us try to introduce intellectualism into unionism. Unions think that by shouting and going on strike and all that they achieve ends. No. You can achieve so much as a unionist without shutting down for 1 day, without going on strike. You get the point? Because strikes are actually, like
destructive.
Like very disruptive. It's almost like economic terrorism. While I was in Shell, I tried to avoid strikes all the time because I developed a concept called dancing around the barrel. As long as you keep threatening the company that you will shut down, they don't want the barrel to tilt. So whatever you ask for, they will do it. But once you have shut down, you have done your worst. So I kept telling my fellow union leaders, I said, well, let's not shut down. Because if we shut down, we have done our worst and they will dig in and we will lose. There was no struggle we went for at the time that we did not win while I was in the leadership position at that time. Because we were matching them intellect for intellect. And on this issue of unit OPEX, do you know that we caught their lie? We went to DPR. Because the top management felt threatened, they now made information available to us that we will never have been privy to. So one certain big man, and I wish he's still alive, but I won't call his name, called me to his office, gave me a flash drive, and said I should copy. He copied an information on Excel spreadsheet from DPR, which compared the unit operating expenditure of all the 5 major oil companies at the time. Now Shell, before it became Renaissance,
yes.
And all that. And Shell was the biggest operator at the time. You know what we found out? The unit cost of production of Shell, that was supposed to be the behemoth,
yes,
the most inefficient producer, was even lower than that of every other one because of economies of scale. Because we were producing over 1 million barrels a day at the time. Our unit operating cost was $3.25. $3.25. The dollar has never changed. I hope you know.
Yeah.
The naira has been bastardized because they keep messing it up. You get the point. My salary when I left Shell was 1.4 million a month. It was $10,000 a month that time because the exchange rate was about 140 to 1. Today, $1,000 is 1.5 million naira. You can imagine how far gone we have been. The dollar has still remained the dollar. So when they are making this noise about they're using $20, $30 to produce one barrel of crude, I say, how is that possible? Where is it coming from? So the point I'm making is that if they really want to even go down, Dangote is talking of gantry price being, that is the gantry revenue being $393 naira to him. Yeah. It can actually go much lower and it will still be profitable to him. Because that is gantry revenue of 393 naira, per liter, is based on an inefficient pricing template for crude.
Well, my producer is flagging me. Now, what we can take away from this conversation very quickly, and this is critical for us, and that is that Nigerians can get the pump price at 100 naira,
at not more than 100 naira
per liter. Even in our current circumstances.
Exactly, and there will be no subsidy for one moment. It should not be more than 100 naira. It can even be less, especially if you handle the inefficient exchange rate. Why should $1 exchange for 1,500 naira. Doesn't make any sense. The purchasing power parity of the dollar to the naira is still so much in favor of the naira. The other day, my daughter sent me $50 from the US. Now, how much it came to? 73,000 naira. What $50 can buy in America? You know what 73,000 naira can buy in Nigeria? $50 will never dream of buying in the US. Yeah, so, what's the basis?
Well, that's the much we can take this morning. Issues around the pump price of petrol. Dangote's revelations last year, and now that the president is coming into a new year, what with the budget is already in the National Assembly, what policies we ought to be looking at. Madaki has said certain things which I said is on his own. Let Trump not come here. But thinking seriously, those are issues for deep thought and deep consideration. Do we design policies to favor our people, or do we design policies to sound international players? I think what Trump is doing is saying the international play must draw from domestic efficiency. And that's what Madaki is saying this morning. Efficient management of our oil sector can bring down all the price. And all this noise and quarrel be forgotten. And Nigeria's economy can run more smoothly, more efficiently. And you and I can enter the market and buy things at humane prices that can keep our families going. Not the way we're moving this morning. All we can do this morning is to thank Madaki. Madaki, thank you very much for coming to the program.
Always a pleasure.
Well, I will keep
anytime.
Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. In the headlines, Defense Headquarters launches Operation Clean Sweep in Katsina after retired General Abubakar's death. Boko Haram set schools on fire in Borno. Oil prices slide after US-Iran deal signals Strait of Hormuz reopening. And UK to ban social media access for children under 16. Details in a moment.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens. One that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
A high-power delegation from the Defense Headquarters on Sunday paid a condolence visit to the Katsina state government over the death of retired Major General Rabe Abdullahi, assuring that efforts are underway to bring those responsible for his killing to justice. The delegation, led by the Chief Administration Officer, Defense Headquarters, Major General I.M. Abdullahi, was received by the Deputy Governor of Katsina State, Malam Farouk Lawal Jobe, on behalf of Governor Diko Umaru Rada and the people of the state. Speaking during the visit, Major General Abdullahi said the delegation was in Katsina to convey the condolences of the Defense Headquarters and the Armed Forces of Nigeria to the government and people of the state over the loss of the retired military officer who was reportedly killed by bandits. He described the late Major General Rabi Abdullahi as a distinguished officer whose service and sacrifice to the nation would not be forgotten, noting that his death was a tragic loss not only to his family and Katsina State, but also to the country. The senior military officer assured the state government that the defense headquarters remained committed to strengthening security operations and supporting efforts to track down and prosecute those behind the killing. General Abubakar was on his way to his hometown when he was abducted alongside his wife along the Katsina-Matazu Road on May 30th, 2026. Isiaka Rabe, son of Rabi Abubakar, the late retired Major General who died in bandits' captivity, has dismissed claims that his father's death was linked to diabetes-related complications. Speaking in an interview with Deutsche Welle Hausa on Sunday, Isiaka said reports that his father died of diabetes were inaccurate. Isiaka said the family does not believe diabetes was responsible for his father's death, as claimed by the Katsina State government, who earlier said that the retired general suffered from diabetes and high blood pressure before his death in captivity. He added that some people speculated the late general may have died from a snake bite after a video allegedly released by his abductors surfaced online, but stressed that the true cause of his death remains unknown. Describing his father as a devout and peace-loving man, Isiaka said the retired general lived a modest life and died a hero. Isiaka said he had no knowledge of the circumstances surrounding the retrieval of his father's remains and refuted reports circulating on social media that his mother, who was kidnapped alongside his father, had regained freedom. The Defense Headquarters Joint Task Force in the Northwest, under Operation Fantanyama, says it has launched a major operation codenamed Operation Clean Sweep 3, targeting terrorists and bandits operating in Matazu local government area and neighboring communities in Katsina State. The development followed the incident that led to the death of retired Major General Rabi Abubakar, who was abducted alongside his wife by suspected terrorists and bandits in the area. A statement issued on Monday by the Media Information Officer of JTF Northwest Operation Fantanyama, Lieutenant Colonel Aliyu Danja, said the operation commenced on Sunday to locate and neutralize those responsible for the attack, dismantle criminal networks, and restore security across the affected communities. Danja said since its launch, troops have carried out aggressive fighting patrols, intelligence-led raids, cordon and search operations, and clearance missions across identified terrorist hideouts and suspected criminal enclaves within the joint operations area. The statement noted that troops achieved significant successes during operations around the Dikawa Hills and nearby communities, and that the offensive is being conducted in collaboration with sister services, other security agencies, and local stakeholders, whose support has contributed to ongoing efforts to improve security in the state. Suspected Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists have set ablaze primary and secondary schools in Kautikari village, Chibok local government area of Borno State. This is coming after the pupils of Musa Primary and Junior Secondary School, Askira Uba, were abducted for almost a month without a trace. Security sources said the assailants invaded the town, which has suffered multiple attacks around 7 p.m. on Saturday. The police public relations officer, Nahum Kenneth Dasu, was yet to make an official statement on the incident as at the time of filing this report. Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo of Kogi State has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to reclaiming the state's forests from criminal elements, declaring that there would be no safe haven for terrorists, bandits, and other violent criminals operating within Kogi State. Governor Ododo made the declaration during a visit to the training camp of the newly recruited Forest Guard trainees, where he encouraged them to embrace the responsibility ahead with discipline, patriotism, and an unwavering commitment to service. The governor noted that one of the major security challenges confronting the state is the vast expanse of forests that have remained largely unoccupied and unguarded, creating opportunities for criminal elements to establish hideouts and launch attacks on innocent citizens. He explained that the recruitment and training of forest guards form a critical component of the state's broader security strategy, aimed at strengthening surveillance, denying criminals access to safe havens, and enhancing the capacity of security agencies to respond effectively to security threats across the state. The governor said the initiative is part of the Forest Guards program approved by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and being implemented through the Office of the National Security Advisor in collaboration with the Department of State Services, DSS, and other relevant security institutions. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo at the weekend met with leaders of the Obi Kwankwaso movement as part of ongoing efforts aimed at fostering national unity and advancing a people-oriented political agenda ahead of future political engagements. A chieftain of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, and member of the Obi Kwankwaso movement, Ladipo Johnson, described the meeting as strategic and focused on strengthening the movement's vision for a united and progressive Nigeria. Johnson said the discussions with Obasanjo reaffirmed a shared commitment to building a stronger nation and promoting the welfare of Nigerians. The meeting comes amid growing political realignment and consultations among opposition figures and stakeholders, seeking to shape the country's political landscape ahead of future elections. Nearly 100 Nigerians serving various prison sentences in Ethiopia are set to be repatriated to Nigeria to complete their terms, following a bilateral prisoner transfer agreement signed between both countries in Addis Ababa. The agreement was signed by Nigeria's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, and Ethiopia's Minister of Justice, Anna Araye Selassie. Foreign Affairs Minister Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu, who delivered President Bola Tinubu's message to the inmates of Abba Samuel Prison, assured them that the Nigerian government remains committed to the welfare of its citizens abroad and will not abandon them. The agreement covers 98 inmates, 96 men and 2 women, who are eligible for transfer subject to their consent and the requirement that they have at least 1 year remaining on their sentences. Odumegwu Ojukwu urged the inmates to fully cooperate with documentation processes, noting that the initiative is driven by humanitarian considerations and justice. She, however, stressed that the agreement is not a license for impunity, adding that repatriated inmates will continue to serve their sentences under the Nigerian correctional system. At least 4 Nigerians reportedly died during the negotiation process leading to the agreement. Still to come. 9 killed, historic monastery on fire as Ukraine faces major Russian attacks. UK to ban social media access for children under 16. Stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
At least 28 people were killed when a bus plunged into a ravine in Ethiopia's Amhara region. The regional state-run Amhara Media Corporation reported on Monday that the bus was traveling from Dessie to the capital, Addis Ababa, when the crash occurred. It quoted a police source saying that many others sustained minor and serious injuries. Deadly road accidents are common in Ethiopia, where driving standards are often poor and many vehicles are badly maintained. In 2024, at least 71 people died in the southern Sidama region after a truck plunged into a river. 4 people were killed while the Kiev-Perchesк Lavra Monastery, a symbol of Ukrainian spiritual and cultural history, caught fire in the heaviest Russian air attack on the Ukrainian capital in 2 weeks. The fresh strikes came after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Sunday that he had spoken to US President Donald Trump and discussed efforts to achieve an end to the more than 4-year conflict ahead of a G7 meeting in France this week. Timur Tachenko, the head of the capital's military administration, said in a Telegram post that the monastery, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site founded in 1051, was seriously damaged in a direct attack. Zelensky said on X that the Russian strike and the setting of the cathedral on fire is one of Russia's most serious crimes against Christian culture to date. Ukraine's military on Monday morning said Russia had launched 70 missiles and 611 drones on Ukraine overnight, and its air defense shot down 50 missiles and 582 drones of various types. Kachenko said that 4 people were killed and that 30 were injured. Oil prices fell sharply in Asian trading on Monday after Pakistan announced a framework agreement to end the war between the US and Iran, paving the way for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a key global shipping route. Brent crude, the global benchmark, dropped 4.8% to $83.18 a barrel, while US traded West Texas Intermediate fell 5.6% to $80.13. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said an official signing ceremony for the agreement would take place in Switzerland on Friday, the 19th of June. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi also confirmed during a phone call on state television that a deal with the US had been finalized, while US President Donald Trump posted on social media, "Let the oil flow." Despite the market's initial reaction, Vandana Hari of Vanda Insights warned that uncertainty remained over the details of the agreement. Hari added that oil markets could face another week of uncertainty and price swings as traders assess the implications of the deal. The Strait of Hormuz had been effectively closed shortly after the US and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran on 28 February, and Tehran had threatened to target vessels using the strategic waterway, through which about 20% of global oil and liquefied natural gas supplies normally pass. Meanwhile, the announcement of the deal was greeted with international relief and hope for an enduring end to the conflict. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said it was a critical step toward resolving the war in the Middle East. The United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Italy said they were prepared to lift sanctions imposed on Iran and will work with the US, Iran, and regional partners to seize this moment, maintain momentum, and achieve a long-term diplomatic settlement. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Monday announced a forthcoming total ban on social media for children under 16, saying that such platforms are making children unhappy. Starmer said that the government will ban access to social media for all children under the age of 16, warning that those platforms are exposing them to content that is dangerous and designed to be addictive. The government said the ban will include platforms like Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X, but exempted messaging services such as WhatsApp. He added he hoped to pass the regulation by late December and for the ban to come in force in the spring next year. The Prime Minister also said the government would go further and take world-leading action on gaming services and live streaming platforms, while considering overnight curfews and breaks in infinite scrolling for under 18s, and will announce more details in July. Starmer said the upcoming ban was influenced by the experience of Australia, which in December became the first nation to ban people under 16 from social media. In sports, the Edo Queens have been crowned champions of the Nigeria Women's Football League for the 2025-2026 season. The team won the title after drawing goalless with Bayelsa Queens in the final round of NWFL Premiership Super 6 fixtures at the Adokiye Amiesimaka Stadium, Port Harcourt, Rivers State on Sunday. This is their second NWFL title in 3 years, under coach Moses Aduku. Before the game, the Edo Queens were on 9 points, needing only 1 point to be crowned champions. The final standings showed that Bayelsa Queens and Nasarawa Amazons finished second on 8 points each. Abia Angels finished on 6 points. Robo Queens ended the campaign on 4 points, and Rivers Angels also got the same number of points. Edo Queens will represent Nigeria at the Wafu B Cup, which serves as the qualification series for the CAF Women's Champions League. And at the ongoing FIFA World Cup, it was goals, drama, and standout performances on Sunday, as Groups E and F got underway with 4 exciting matches across the United States and Mexico. Germany made the biggest statement of the day crushing Curacao 7-1 in their Group E opener. Felix Mecha set the tone early, while Kai Havertz scored twice as the four-time world champions ran riot. Curacao could only manage a historic consolation goal, their first ever at a World Cup, but Germany's attacking quality proved far too strong. In the other Group E encounter, Ivory Coast edged Ecuador 1-0 in Philadelphia. A disciplined Ivorian performance secured all 3 points and placed them alongside Germany at the top of the group after the opening round of matches. In Group F, the Netherlands and Japan shared the spoils in one of the most entertaining games of the day, as the match ended 2-2 with both sides displaying attacking flair and resilience. And Sweden rounded off Sunday's action with an emphatic 5-1 victory over Tunisia. The Swedes dominated from start to finish, producing one of the tournament's most convincing performances so far, and moving to the top of Group F on goal difference. That's the size of our package. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Thanks for watching.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Health is more than a diagnosis. It's your lifestyle, your choices, and your future. Join us on Inside Health, your weekly deep dive into the stories, science, and solutions shaping your well-being. From expert interviews to real-life journeys of healing and hope, we cover it all.
One of the complications of cancer management or treatment is they have some of them, at one point in time, you see them having anemia. Okay, so you see them at times being transfused. But at the same time, you come in with a diet.
Nutrition, mental health, innovations in medicine, fitness, and everyday wellness. Whether you're managing a condition, staying informed, or just living your best life, Inside Health is your trusted guide.
I'm Tigiti Agorom, and I'll be with you every week on Inside Health, only on Signature TV.
Tired of the snow? Tired of the bad TV signals? Nigeria has gone digital. Introducing Free TV, the national platform for every Nigerian. Get 100 plus channels immediately. Sports, news, and entertainment in your native language with clear picture quality. Whether you're in the city or the village, our satellite signal reaches every corner of 36 states from day one. No monthly subscription, just a compatible decoder and you are set. It's a national asset built for you. Take the show on the road, download the Free TV app and stream your favorite channels anywhere. Starting this May, scan to download the app or call 0700 388 7277. Free TV, digital TV for free. Brought to you by NBC.
Hello and welcome to another day on Muse. Muse is a program Signature Television where we think and talk. Today on Muse, we have just few things on our agenda of musing. You know, here we think and talk, and whoever thinks and talks is selective of what to think and talk about. Otherwise, like in Nigerian parlance, while I know they finish. My name is Christian Chibuzo Maduka, your chief muser, and I keep saying with this appendage, each time I refer to myself as chief muser, that's the position they put me in, and I've been struggling to fill that big shoe. Well, it's okay. Let's take me the way I am, according to the sacred song and sorrows. He said, take me the way I am. And some people say, it's Akuku Kwendi CMS. No, that's by the way. But that's it. Today, first on our news list, our agenda is that the repatriated Nigerians from South Africa, few of them has gotten home. I think about half. But we are sure at least about 500, over 580 something people that have been repatriated from South Africa will eventually come back home at the expense of Nigerian government, you know. And then we can hear a lot of viral video about the repatriated Nigerians. Some of them are talking about experience. Somebody said he watched his friend, they removed one of his eyes. That's horrible. That's horrible. That's horrible. And you ask yourself, what can make South Africans do this to Nigerians and some other citizens of other countries they found in the streets or they found in South Africa? What could make them do this? And this is not without repercussion. Because, you know, the man who is running after a snake to kill snake is there. And the snake that is being pursued is also running for their life. Life is sweet. Everybody needs to live. Because that's sacred divine gift. Nobody in this life has power to take life. But some people have arrogated themselves with such powers to take people's life at any time. Let's talk about so many issues that Nigerians are battling with at this time. You talk about hardship, hunger. You talk about terrorists and banditry, insecurity. You talk about high rising cost of existing as a citizen in Nigeria. You can't buy food, you can't buy utilities, high transport costs. You talk about rent, you can't pay rent, you can't go to school. The insecurity has double plunged. People can't go to school and come back because they are likely to be abducted. School have become soft target for bandits and terrorists in Nigeria. Then we add with the fact that Nigerians who are even running away from Nigeria to find safety in some other countries are being brought back. Some are being brought back with wounds inflicted on them. That's the ones who are lucky to be alive, because many died in the process. Many were killed. Many were, many were made handicapped. It's one who they remove one of his eyes can never get that eye back in their life, especially with eyes. He will live with that trauma. Who will ask himself, what is my offense? That they told us that we have an African Union. And they told us it started with the Organization of African Unity. They told us that Africa is one. They told us that Africa have this brotherhood or whatever you called it. But now, something satanic has stepped in, and the fabric that hold Africa brotherhood together. They call it xenophobia. Now let me ask the South Africans, what do they think? My father told me that nobody, if they ask everybody to go back to their maternal uncle's house, that nobody will be at home, because everybody would have left their houses to go to their maternal uncle's house. So some of you who don't know what I'm saying, this is a proverb of bone and silence. The South Africans will know that whatever is found in the house of lizard, you are likely to find same in the house of rat. Ihe dibe oke dibe ngwere. Asị onye ọbụla jebe ebe ọmụ nwa dị ana, onwere onye ya nọ n'ụlọ. That is how I say, find somebody to translate it, especially some of our South African friends. What would you say is the fault that Nigerians did that they deserve this kind of treatment? And we have South Africans in Nigeria, and we still go to African Union and the former OAU. I remember one time the Green Eagles of Nigeria were playing sometime in 1978 in a match. Was it around that? They're playing African Nations Cup. And the town, the hosting community were attacking Green Eagles of Nigeria because Green Eagles of Nigeria and Nigerians generally has been doing well in African football, both in Africa and in the world. When they were being attacked, the commentator of that match, may God bless his soul, the Okonkwo man, the man, what's his name again? Ernest Okonkwo, the man who manufactures wares. He said, this is against the spirit of OAU. This is against the spirit of Africa. The police are in South Africa, they are doing nothing. And Nigerians are being killed, they're being wounded, they're being packed and hauled and pushed back to Nigeria. And we still have embassy of Nigeria in South Africa, embassy of South Africa in Nigeria, under pretended relationship. And we are muffling words. I don't want to go back. In the university days, we skipped meals to make sure South Africans get their freedom from the apartheid regime of Pieter Botha and his people. And now, that is like the cyclist who visited your house, you want to see him go. When he wants to mount his bicycle, he will give you the backside. That is a lesson for South Africa. No problem. The world is a place, and it continues to be. These people who have done this to Nigerians today might live and die. The sad seed of hatred they've sowed between some Nigerians and their people will find time to go. Let us be cautious when we do certain things. I watched a viral video of a police officer dressing a woman dressed in red and some colors of their national colors in uniform of paramilitary, talking about how bad Nigerians can be. But let's talk about it. Wherever you put your hand inside the backside, you will smell that bad smelling thing. There is no place that you have a wall that you don't have a backyard. Meaning, we might have some bad Nigerians, we might have some bad South Africans. So, who will make us judge to begin to profile a whole country of over 240 million people and say they are worse than Satan? And it sounds good, because we can say it. If we talk and think like we do in this program, it will be good. Nigerian government, as usual, is going to bring back people, and we are talking. And that is a lesson for Nigerian government. I am not an advisor. I am not an advisor on diaspora matter. I am not anything, but I talk as a Nigerian. It's not high time that Agama lizard does not do what makes Agama an Agama lizard. Children will eat Agama lizard in both dry season and rainy season. A word is enough for the wise. That's the proverb of bone and silence. The World Cup is going on. The South Africans have lost their support from African footballing community because of xenophobia. Some people refer to them as Republic of Xenophobia. And if you ask me, that cannot be a better description of that. And now they go to World Cup, they've lost to Mexico in the first outing match, and everybody is like, that is good. Let them return before they are xenophobic. As xenophobic citizens of xenophobic Republic of xenophobic South Africa, let them know that they have gone to play football in South. And some of the people who have gone to watch football there may not go back for one reason or another. After all, it's because that after Salmo Okoye can call Toluje Tibwe. Find out what the meaning of this. No problem. We exist. But this, what I don't know what to call it, so pardon my language, but if you think the African Union still think it is overrated, has no protection for anybody, and they continue to become rat race, dog eat dog, it's not going to take us to anywhere. This is how Africa will develop. This leg, Nain Nama go take rich Omaya. I laugh in xenophobic language. The next item we have on our agenda for this afternoon or this time, depending on when you are watching us, is insecurity, the presidency. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Jagaban, has given a word of advice in his 2026 June 12 celebration, anniversary celebration. He said to the people who are causing insecurity in Nigeria, because if you ask me, I don't think it's only bandits and the terrorists that are causing insecurity in Nigeria. Some politicians, some businessmen, some ordinary Nigerian citizens are aiding and abetting insecurity. Some are armed robbers who are still stealing and killing. Some are pickpocketers who, when they find time, they kill. Some are using any other means to spy people. They find a new language from Nigeria that have entered Oxford Dictionary as spy, as killing. They want to use it. It sounds like spy. And life that God has created goes with spy signs in Nigeria, and that's it. And we think it's okay. That's by the way. I'm not going to that. I'm talking about what the president told all the people who are concerned with insecurity in Nigeria. He said, stop such action or die. You can describe that as go back, listen again to what the president said. Go find the written version and read in black and white what the president meant when he said, stop whatever you are doing to bring insecurity to our resilient and happy nation, Nigeria, or you die. That's a good one. Coming from the president, after a long time of him condemning in speeches, sympathizing, empathizing, calling for security chiefs meetings, sending information to National Assembly to discuss insecurity in Nigeria, engaging with diplomatic bodies and international communities on how we can curb insecurity in Nigeria. He has, on June 12, 2026, in his presidential remarks said, all of you that are involved with insecurity in Nigeria, you know yourselves. He says, stop or die. But let's come back home from beyond what the presidency have said. Now, it can be both physical or spiritual. You know, as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he has power of life and death. Ikuba baye. That's what my friends describe in Yoruba land. When they are trying to give honors to the Oba, the supreme ruler of Ife kingdom. He says, Ikuba baye. The man who has power of life and death. The father of life and death, you know. And as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, black African nation. We know that when he say a word, it carries both the potency that is spiritual and the power that is physical. So I don't know how else, if they are just trying to bring that we should think and talk about what the presidency said. It means the president has woken up and want to really face this undeclared war. It's an emergency situation. 46 teachers and their pupils from Oyo town or near whatever near Oyo town in Oyo state are still in captivity while I'm making this speech, while I'm doing this. Some students and some other people in some other locations, so many places are still in captivity. Ransom being demanded, some being tortured and killed as a proof that the people who are holding them, the captors, want to make good their threat. It's no more hidden thing because they even post viral videos who are going on in our national telecom system. We have NCC who tracks every other offense that have been going on, but has never been able to track those who do business, blood business, and they go on and they buy recharge card and data from the telecom organizations, and they hold their numbers, and they have biodata. They tell they register these numbers, and we have not been able to sanction these people. You remember that if you are partly, directly and indirectly connected with the insecurity of Nigeria, the president's word of stop it or die is also concerned. So both the telecom organizations, hold the bandits and terrorists, hold their numbers, hold your subscriber to your service. Either you stop or you die. And then one of the things, I will come back to that. Now, the president is what he said, and the president meant his word. For so many things, I think the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria want to make do his word because, of course, you know, there's this second tenor, scrambling, petitioning, horse trading going on. Some kind of, the president has to live up to his word. So it's coming at a good time because they told me all along, if you climb an Iroko tree, you better do all your firewood collection there because Iroko tree is not tree you climb every day. Now that the president, Jagaba himself, want to return for the second tenor to Aso Rock, there are so many things he will promise us now, and he will try to make good his promises because Nigerians are now, what we see is what convinces us, dear president, to vote for you again. It's not a condition, but like I trust you, when you promise us, you will do. It won't be like the issue of the carpenter I met in ENUGU, he was cleaning up his wood. And they were asking him, he said, the ENUGU girls are promiscuous. I said, Mokoye, what do you mean by that? He said they are promiscuous. If they promise, they will not come. That's what makes them promiscuous. And people burst into laughter. Our president is not promiscuous, so if he promises, he will come. That's the thing. Because he's a gentleman, he's a sagacious, creative, and well-renowned politician in Nigeria. After all, to go to the highest peak, apogee, and zenith of rulership in Nigerian political structure is not